FBI Director Kash Patel dropped a bombshell on Congress about how China and the Biden family worked together to rig the 2020 election. More information's coming out about that, but I'm going to share the latest updates, including how the Bidens were making tens of millions of dollars while funneling information to China. Also, Trump was right, and so were the 2020 voters that something was off. I'm going to go through this and other big stories. Thank you guys so much for liking and sharing these videos. It really helps me out. All right, now we all know, now we know that President Joseph Robinette Biden had yogurt for brains. They hid it from the American people. The mainstream media was in on it. Members of Congress were in on it. And now they would rather continue to lie to their voter than be seen as being complicit in one of the biggest cover-ups in American history. So there's a hearing in Congress that's going on right now to go over how the Democrats hid this information from the voters, how the mainstream media was complicit. Let me go ahead and show that to you. Although you're going to notice one big glaring issue. Let me bring that up on stage right now, and then we will watch it together, and I'll go through it with you.
I will note that few of my Democratic colleagues are here today. Thank you to Senator Welch from Vermont for being here, leaving us with no other option than to take the boycotting of this hearing as an admission of guilt for their role in this crisis.
Notice all the empty seats? All the people, all of the Democrats from the Senate decided to get together and boycott the hearing on the cover-up of President Biden's mental decline. This is crazy. As Senator Cornyn, somebody that I don't really love, said here, like, this is a scandal, and you guys are admitting guilt. Now, they would rather this happen than it leak to their voters that they lied, that they covered up the president's mental health, that they risked the entire country in order to stick it to Donald J. Trump. This is a travesty, and I'm going to continue to cover exactly what happened. But let me know in the comments, what do you guys think about that? They literally boycotted, not the key witness, not the person testifying. The people that are supposed to show up are voted in officials, servants of the people that are supposed to bring us the truth, boycotted going. The questioners didn't show up because they're guilty, not the ones that are being questioned. So crazy. Now, President Donald Trump announced today that he has given a gift to the White House as a special edition, something that has been missing for a long time. In a post on Truth Social, President Trump stated, "It is my great honor to announce that I will be putting up two big, beautiful flagpoles on both sides of the White House, the north and south lawn. It is a gift from me, something which was always missing from this significant place. The digging and the placement of the poles begins at 7:30 a.m. Flags will be raised at approximately 11 a.m. These are the most significant poles made. They are tall, tapered, rust-proof, rope inside the pole of the highest quality. Hopefully, they will proudly stand at both sides of the White House for many years to come." I thought that was kind of weird. The White House didn't have an American flag. No wonder they were putting the gay pride flag up as a light on the White House. We didn't even have an American flag. That's kind of embarrassing. So kudos to President Trump for loving the American flag and wanting to see Old Glory at the actual White House. All right, now, don't leave. Listen to this. When it comes to President Trump, many of us suspected something wasn't right in the 2020 election. Well, now the director of the FBI, Kash Patel, has shared secret key information with members of Congress about how China and the Bidens were attempting to rig the election. FBI official Kash Patel has delivered declassified intelligence to Congress alleging that the Chinese government mass-produced fake driver's licenses to help facilitate a fraudulent mail-in ballot scheme in order to install Joe Biden. Why did they want to do that? They knew that if Joe Biden was president, they could get away with anything. They knew that his family was blackmailed, that he would say nothing because of the tens of millions of dollars that flowed into their pockets. Now, the report originally compiled in August of 2020, so before the Hunter Biden laptop leaked and then was covered up by the CIA, the FBI, the NSA, the DNI, mainstream media, the social media companies. All of that was after this report that the FBI sat on. Now, it was reportedly recalled from intelligence agencies just when FBI Director Christopher Wray was supposed to testify to Congress. What did he testify to? That there was no evidence of foreign interference in the election, even though on January 7th, the day after the Capitol breach, DNI John Ratcliffe released a report saying that China, not Russia, but China, was interfering in our elections. In a post on X, Kash Patel stated the FBI has located documents which detail alarming allegations related to the 2020 U.S. election, including allegations of interference by the CCP. I have immediately declassified the material and turned it over to Senator Grassley for full review. Now, listen to this. Over on X, I was able to find some of the driver's licenses that were coming in. Look at this. They were finding them. They were all flowing in, and just like this is just one seizure that had 20,000 fake driver's licenses. So they now believe that there were hundreds of thousands of driver's licenses that came in. Most of them were coming in through Chicago O'Hare International Airport. Others were coming in through California, New York, and it appears that most of them were coming from either mainland China or Hong Kong. Now, according to Kash Patel, this was a massive scale infiltration on America that Christopher Wray ignored. Now, listen to this. There were hundreds of thousands of driver's licenses, which means there were going to be hundreds of thousands of fake ballots. But when President Trump brought this up for an election, he only lost by 38,258 votes. Many said that he was lying, that he was committing treason, that he was betraying the Constitution. Now we know that that is not true. That is not true at all. And so now we need to get to the bottom of the truth. And I want to show something to you guys. It's a little bit long, but Mike Benz, a former security head for the original Trump term 1, he is going to go through and he's going to detail how they did this and the money that was brought in. Let me go ahead and bring that to the stage. We'll watch it and then we'll react to it together.
I'm shocked, and it takes a lot to shock me.
Yeah,
when this story first broke, I thought that there must be some details about it that are more speculative than you can rely on. But the more I read the piece that you published and saw what Kash submitted to Chuck Grassley, there are several levels of this that are concerning almost beyond belief. So obviously the first family itself was taking millions of dollars from China. The Biden first family through Hunter Biden and China CEFC Energy, China CEFC Energy was taking $5 to $10 million in consulting fees from Chinese energy firms as Hunter Biden was flying on Air Force One to China with Vice President Biden in order to secure those deals. Biden's CIA director, Bill Burns, took millions of dollars from China when he was the head of the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace for 7 years before becoming CIA director, taking CCP members and putting them on Carnegie's board, as well as forming a joint Carnegie-China center so that they could cooperate more closely. Tony Blinken, the Secretary of State, was the managing director of the Penn Biden Center, which took millions of dollars from China. So all the way up and down the entire foreign policy establishment of the Biden administration, from the White House to the CIA to the State Department, you had millions of dollars being juiced by the Chinese government the entire time. And then the more you think about this story, the more shocking it gets when you think about the massive, biggest election censorship event in human history, which was DHS CISA's censorship of the 2020 election, specifically to stop election misinformation.
Okay, so the Biden family was completely bought and paid for by China. China knew that in order to get a return on the tens of millions of dollars they had given away, they needed to ensure that Joe Biden became president of the United States. That's exactly what they did. They rigged the election. All of the evidence is coming out, but it gets worse than that. Did you hear that? The former head of the CIA was taking money from China. Anthony Blinken, Secretary of State, was taking money from China. Let's keep going because it gets worse.
Which was all run out of a group that Chris Krebs formed called the Countering Foreign Influence Task Force, which you would think would have been the exact task force at DHS set up to stop something like this and set up to be responsive to something like this, when in fact it did the exact opposite. They told us there was no foreign interference. Now, how does the FBI know this, and the CIA know this, and the DHS task force, who is responsible for stopping the domestic side of this operation, not be informed? How is it possible that this intelligence was circulated at the FBI and CIA levels, but not at the DHS level? And so that is an immediate question for Chris Krebs and Alex Stamos.
Well, we can actually answer the question for you, Mike, too. The document I saw, I actually saw the document and got some of the quotes from it. It was circulated to the Department of Homeland Security in addition to the CIA. So they were, now it doesn't say CISA, it does say DHS, so at least the senior component got it. And when it was called back, they asked all those agencies to destroy it. So it was sent out to Homeland.
Now,
okay, you guys, this is crazy. So CISA was the cyber organization that was tasked with making sure that this was the most free and fair election. That's exactly what their report said. Now we're finding out they knew about this stuff. They sent it to senior leadership and they just ignored it. Why? Because their guy won. Because Biden won. And they had finally gotten Trump out of office. This is corruption to the highest levels of government, but it gets worse. Listen to this.
Now get this. The DHS censorship operation run out of CISA, together with EIP, this 4-group consortium of 120 individual censors monitoring the entire internet across 15 different platforms to censor pro-Trump tweets or anyone who cast doubt on the integrity of the 2020 election. In the slide deck presentations of those censors who were set up by DHS, who got to use CISA's 24/7 cyber mission control to flag tweets, in those presentations, they specifically finger out a specific tweet by Donald Trump on June 22nd, and I'll read it. Rigged 2020 election. This is all caps. Rigged 2020 election. Millions of mail-in ballots will be printed by foreign countries and others. It will be the scandal of our times. Now, DHS's censorship network specifically cited that tweet as one of the reasons they needed to scramble to form this wide-spanning, totalizing censorship operation. And the fact that they specifically were set off by tweets by Donald Trump insinuating that a foreign...
Okay, let me just clarify something really quickly, because I had to watch this twice in order to get it. Maybe you guys already picked up on it, but so when President Trump was president in the first term, he said, these are all of the things, that we need to look out for. That gave them the exact recipe of what they would be looking for. And so Christopher Krebs and CISA, they built systems around blocking people from getting the very information that Trump preemptively put out for people to look for. He then goes on to say that the tweets and the information that we thought was getting out, they were circumventing and blocking it so that none of us could get it or see it. This thing was a massive corruption scandal I can't wait for them to blow the lid off of all of this.
Countries may be printing ballots or taking advantage of the mail-in ballot system in the operation that Kash just laid out, while that was the triggering tweet among several others to set up this entire censorship operation, while DHS had inside classified knowledge that is exactly what was going down and that Donald Trump was in fact correct. So they set up the censorship operation. In part, it would seem to suggest that their knowledge of this at the senior level of DHS or at the Chris Krebs level may have been motivated in part by a desire to keep quiet these various scandals, because as China was backing the entire Biden foreign policy establishment, literally and monetarily, the idea that China would be exploiting this would be a massive, massive, massive scandal, especially on the heels of Russiagate, where that entire apparatus used all of that power and abuse of the FBI and Justice Department in order to go after foreign powers interfering in elections. That could have been a scandal that could have tipped the election. So the idea that not only would they censor it at the FBI and CIA level, but that DHS itself could be activated to censor anyone who might suggest that a foreign body like China may be exploiting the mail-in ballot system.
Hey, let me know in the comments down below two things. Do you believe that the 2020 election was free and fair? And two, do you like this information that I'm researching and digging in for? If yes, I want you to type a Y. And if no, I want you to type an N. I think that this stuff is really valuable. We need to get the word out because many members of Congress called Trump a liar. They said that he was delusional, that he was non-mentis compus, that he had lost his mind, when in reality, they used the very things that he was like, okay, look out for foreign IDs, look out for foreign interference, the mail-in ballots are going to be an issue. Those were all of the things that they used against him. And then they insulated the American public from that, and they put themselves in a position where they could block that information being investigated. It's a scam from bottom to top. Unbelievable. People need to go to jail. If you want to see people go to jail, I want you to type a Y. I do. I mean, Biden messed this thing up so much. I mean, there's a part of me that's grateful that President Trump is in now, but think of all the hardship, how expensive life has become because Joe Biden was president. Makes my blood boil. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. Hey, that's my update for today. I'll be on with other information later today. I love you guys. Give this video a like. Hit that subscribe button, stay amazing, and I will see you on the next video.